Welcome to Happy Talks with Dr. Alice and Donovan. Dr. Alice Fong is a holistic naturopathic doctor and founder of Amour de Soi Wellness. And Donovan Jensen is a software engineer and founder of HowToHappy.com. Together, they're out to cause more happiness in the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Happy Talks. My name is Dr. Alice, and this is Donovan. And today we have a special guest, Mark Wilkinson. He has come quite the life journey from an international house music DJ and record producer. And he's played music in over 65 countries across the world. And now he's a multiple business owner, coach, motivational speaker, and author of the book Life Remix. So I'm excited to introduce to you all Mark Wilkinson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Dr. Alice, and thank you, Donovan. I'm really pleased to be here.
Great. Yes. Well, yeah, we would love to hear a little about your story and your journey and what was your path to getting to where you are now as a multiple business owner and inspirational, motivational speaker and author.
It's been quite the journey. It's been quite the journey. I mean, I started out just loving music when I was a kid. You know, I liked playing football. You might call it soccer, and I liked music. And I was rubbish at football, so I decided to get into music. And somehow I managed to carve out this career. I mean, it was just, it wasn't planned. It was just passion and energy and enthusiasm and a love, a desire. Music just gave me that feeling, that kind of like goosebumps and that, like, oh, what is this? The first time I heard Elvis and the Beatles on my mum's stereo, I was like, what? I was like 6. And I just got into it and I just carried on all the way through. I got into soul music. I was a big soul boy in the 80s here in the UK, listening to a lot of American bands, actually, like Fatback Man, Cameo, Luther Vandross, Alexander O'Neill, all these like huge soul artists. I got completely into it, and then slowly but surely, other things started to come into my life. You know, first sips of alcohol when I was like 14, and then things just kind of carried on from there. And I got addicted to a lot of things that you would call pleasurable, and they were. I got addicted to pleasure, and I managed to carve out this career that had me traveling all over the globe eventually. To all of these countries, playing music, you know, making music during the week in my recording studio. I mean, just living this music dream, putting on parties with all my friends and just doing that week in, week out for like, I mean, I probably made that last about 15 years or more, to be honest. And, you know, I think eventually, you know, the lifestyle definitely had an impact, I'm sure of that. But also, it was interesting as well because I found myself under quite an immense amount of stress because of various different things that went on throughout my sort of early life, if you like, up to about 30 and my early 30s. And then one day I collapsed. My leg gave way beneath me. I hit the floor. My brother was there, thankfully. He helped me back up off the floor. And he said to me, what happened? I was like, I don't know. And my body slowly over the next 18 months completely froze up, basically. It was that. Wow. But consequently, or whatever the word is, on the opposite of that, my body also felt like it was on fire. So, you know, you couldn't touch me because I felt like, you know, I was literally couldn't shake hands with anybody. I had swelling and, you know, it was really horrible time. It was really, really strange. But at the same time, when I sat down or when I laid down at night or anything like that, I froze in a position and I couldn't, just to try and get out of it was a real challenge. And that was for about 18 months of undiagnosed pain. So that was like, you know, that's like the story. That's where Life Remix basically came from, because I had a choice at that moment. One was to just end this pain and just go and jump off the bridge, or the other one was like, I've got to start learning and understanding a bit more. And thankfully, I got some good information at the right time.
Wow, what an incredible journey, and, you know, a really inspirational story for a lot of people trying to overcome struggles, or, you know, it sounds like you were dealt a challenging hand, like, or you're enjoying life, partying hard, rock star life. It sounds like traveling, enjoying it. But, you know, it paid a toll on your body. And over time, it gradually, something happened, and maybe there's more to the story that you'll fill in the blanks for, but yes, it had an impact on your body. And then you were dealing with this pain issue that really had you consider, you know, suicidal ideations, kind of a thing, or choose a different path. So I'm glad you chose a different path.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Yes, I think we all are. But I guess tell us a little more about like what was that path and what did that look like and how did you get through that all that
Well,
time?
yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, it's kind of like it's a strange time for all of us in the world right now. There's a worldwide crisis going on, and I had the idea for Life Remixed about 10 or 12 years ago when I was starting to turn the corner from my own crisis. You know, in my 30s, I managed to manifest an incurable disease. And then bankruptcy. You know, it wasn't my finest moments, right? But actually, I thankfully didn't choose the route to check out, but I actually dusted myself off and went again. What was interesting to me was I was having a few issues before the collapse. My body was giving me signals, but I wasn't listening. So I was getting quite a lot of stomach cramps, and the doctor told me it was like IBS. And he said to me, "You need to go to bed early and have green vegetables and drink water." And I was like, "What are you talking about, man? I'm a DJ. You know what I mean? I can't do anything like that." And so I wasn't ready to hear the information then. But then my body made me listen a few years later when I hit the deck. I was like, "Right, okay, you got my attention." But a doctor told me that you've got an incurable disease, bad luck. It's in your genes. You're always going to get it. You know, some people get it much worse than others. You've had it really bad, you know. But about around the same time, this is the way the universe kind of just happens. I think if you trust in it and understand what's going on a bit more, around the same time, because I was getting some colonic irrigations and all sorts of detoxes from my stomach. The guy at this detox place gave me a DVD in 2006, like, you know, on a disc, gave me a DVD and said, "You need to watch this." And it said The Secret on it. And I was like, okay. And I put it on and I watched it and I gave it back to him and said, "There you go." He said, No. He said, "You need to go and watch that 100 times, Mark." And I was like, what are you talking about? I've watched the film 100 times in my life. What are you talking about, man? But something about it, he was confident and he was a good guy. And I said, okay. And I did go and watch it. And I watched it. I've clearly watched that film 100 times. And it's very, very interesting when you start to get into the law of attraction, the law of vibration, the way things work. But the real bit that changed my life was when Bob Proctor said on The Secret, when he said, "Dis-ease is 2 words. And you have to put a hyphen in there, that dis-ease." And he said, you cannot have a dis-ease in your body if you're at ease in your thoughts and your feelings. And I was like, well, hold on a second. The doctor just told me I've got a disease and you're saying it's a dis-ease and I'm not at ease. I thought I was fine. You know, apart from obviously, you know, being not having the greatest life that I, you know, basically I never manifested enough money. You know, I wasn't always the happiest. I got the uplifting bit from DJing to 1,000 people or 2,000 people. That was my uplift. But there was so much other drama and things going on in my life that were just a mess. And I didn't understand why. I didn't understand that I was creating all that stuff. But that dis-ease, at ease, that was a light bulb. It was like, boom, right, okay, I need to understand more. And the more I started to understand, that was like 17 years ago, 16 years ago. I've been studying myself and everyone else, psychologically and self-development wise, for the last 16 years. Bob Proctor also said around that time to me, "Your way isn't working, try mine." And I said, yeah, you're right, because I am right now. I was unhappy, sick and broke. I was bankrupt. My body was failing. I was like, yeah, it's not working. I'm going to listen, because at the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, if it doesn't work anyway, then you can go back to how you work, you know, because, you know, but guess what? You know, I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, married. It's all good. And it all worked. It all worked. And all I've done with Life Remixed is I've gone, this is how much fun it was. This is how bad it got. And this is the way I fixed it. And it's not, I'm not some like, wow, genius. All I've done is gone and learned a lot of stuff from intelligent people. I've put it in Life Remixed with my own take and gone here because it can help. It could help.
Yeah, it sounds like there was that was like a critical moment, getting that information and having access to it. I would be curious to know if you think that, because it sounded like, you know, you had this DJ life and that was not balanced well with the rest of everything else, right? There was these nice benefits coming from that, some real big highlights, and then the rest was missing. Do you think, or maybe you have now, found some sort of a better balance, or do you feel like those two things were at odds?
I would say now, obviously, complete balance. Multiple sources of income is a big one for any entrepreneur. Do you know what? If I could go back, and this is not a regret or anything, but if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, I'd have a little word with him. I'd say, listen, you want to be a DJ? Brilliant. Go for it. Make it happen. Live your dream. Do what makes you passionate and makes you happy. At the same time, build some assets, find some other sources of income that back it up, that get it all going together, make yourself secure, because that's all I'm doing now. In all honesty, I've bounced back from the bankruptcy from 12 years ago. I'm multiple business owner. We've got properties. I'm a coach. I do so many things throughout a day. I mean, people say to me, "How do you cope?" I'm like, "Well, I stay up late." But the point is that I've got a really good balance now, and I live my passion. I absolutely live my passion. I did live my passion as a DJ, but that might only be for a few hours a week. Whereas now, actually, you and I, we're all awake 17 hours a day ish, and I now live my passion for the whole 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. But that balance is so important. I was definitely out of balance when I was younger, and I was full of anxiety, doubt, fear, and worry from an early age. And I explained some of that in the book. I think my father suffered with undiagnosed PTSD from the Second World War. He was 50 when I was born in 1970. And I think we picked up so much vibration and fear and doubt and worry, from our parents and from other people, society and everything else. And I just started self-medicating at 14, and I got all out of balance. And don't get me wrong, there was some good times. Yeah, there was some good times. Don't get me wrong about that. And I've paid homage to that in the book, of course. The first couple of chapters are, the first chapter is the collapse. The next couple of chapters are, here's all the fun. And then here's how I've put everything together and fixed it all.
So here's the follow-up that I wanted to put onto that, which is, for you, it kind of sounds like it took this big event, right? This collapse. And then it sounds like not just physical, but some other things in your life were also collapsing. And you've kind of, alluded to this as we've been talking, but what would you say for listeners, what signs should they look out for besides their doctor telling them to change up some of the habits? What are some of the things to kind of think about and look for so that we can try to head off some of this and maybe get people before they're into full crisis?
Well, you're right. And absolutely, part of Life Remixed is if you follow these strategies that I've used to recover from a crisis, you won't have to go into the crisis in the first place, because that's, preferably I'd much rather that nobody ends up at the drama and the dramatic place where I did, right? Because there's a lot of pain there. But the thing about it is that pain does have a message, which is very, very important, and you have to listen for it. But one of the things I would say, and I've said this quite a few times in interviews and stuff recently, but it always seems to strike a chord with people, particularly people that are on this kind of journey and the happy talks and everything that you're talking about. If you knew the power of a negative thought, you'd never have another one. And they come up, don't they? They come up for all of us. They come up as a negative thought, or there's a little emotion, or there's a little bit of anxiety, or a little wobble. It still happens for everybody. There's a great book, isn't there? Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a bit of a classic. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you understood that if you allow negative thinking to come into your life, and then it goes in from your conscious thinking into your subconscious thinking, then it goes into your actions, then it will take you down. And that's what happened to me. I can look back at it now and understand what happened to me and go, oh, okay. And so I know the power of negative thinking. So I never allow them to stay for very long. They might pop up and I go, okay, right, how can I replace this? What else can I do? Let's have a positive affirmation, or let's have a positive chat with someone in the world, or let's do something really that uplifts me and gets me going. And then the fear goes away, or that kind of stuff. And I think if the world really understood the power of negative thinking, you cannot have a happy, positive, happy, healthy, wealthy life if you allow too many negative thoughts to hang around.
Yeah, I definitely really resonate with that. And it's such an important lesson for people to recognize that a thought is a thought. It doesn't mean it's the reality of the situation. And I think we get so tied into like, oh, I'm stupid, or, oh, I'm not pretty. And then that just becomes our reality. And we go through life like that's the reality of the situation, when it's just a thought. And when we can separate and realize that it's just a thought, it loses its power. It's like, yeah, it's gonna, and I really love that you made that distinction of understanding that it's like you can't just stop the negative thoughts from coming. It's like human beings are gonna have these thoughts. It's like there's no like, firewall. We could just like put up and just like stop the thoughts from happening. They're going to happen because we're human, but it's just like deciding in that moment, is this something that I want to have power over me? Or do I just want to just recognize it as a thought, just let it go?
Well, we have a choice, don't we?
Yeah, we always have a choice.
We have a choice. We've been given the gift of choice, and the best thing we can do is make decisions, quick decisions, strong decisions that actually benefit us as human beings, to be able to then bring that positivity to the world. If you can literally get this little triumvirate, is that the word? From thoughts, feelings, actions. If you can get all of that in line, you can literally create whatever you want to create in your lifetime, and that's a beautiful thing to get right.
Yeah.
So there was another piece from when you were talking earlier that I wanted to hone in on a little bit. You mentioned that, pain comes with messages, or a message. And I don't know if that's a super common way of thinking, not an idea that everyone has been exposed to. So could we dig in on that idea a little bit more?
Yeah, certainly. What would you like to know?
Basically, like maybe if you could like color it out with some examples, or just a little bit more detail or something like that. I just feel like, it's something I'm familiar with because I'm in this content all the time, but I don't know if everyone is. So just some highlights or some other way to kind of think about that.
Yeah, I think all physical or mental pain, so we're talking about we're talking about thoughts, negative thinking perhaps coming in. If the body's a reflection of the mind ultimately. So if you've got pain in your body, it's because there's things that are going on in your mind. If you've got a dis-ease in your body, then you're not at ease in your mind. And most people like me back at the time, I was like, I'm fine, what are you talking about? But I had to start learning, and the pain has a message. You have to be listening, and you have to investigate it. Too many of us have been trained over hundreds of years to go to a doctor to fix us. But don't get me wrong, I'm never negating doctors. Doctors are beautiful people. You'll be pleased to hear, Alice. But doctors are beautiful people who help us. Modern medicine can help us incredibly quickly to get us back on our feet and get us moving. So 100%, that's a positive thing, especially in an acute situation. But the really important bit is that we dig deep within ourselves and try and understand where this pain is coming from. I don't know if you've read Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. But the table at the back of that is incredible. She spent years and years and years studying people and dis-eases. And there's a table at the back of You Can Heal Your Life where she's careful, it's possible emotional reasons behind dis-ease in the body. And I literally opened mine for rheumatism and rheumatoid arthritis, which is basically what I was suffering, called ankylosing spondylitis. I read it, and I read the possible emotional reasons behind it. And it was 100% right. And I was like, my goodness, this is like, again, it's just incredible information, because I was feeling those emotions. And as soon as I got rid of those negative emotions and got to a place of real love and joy and total acceptance and feeling great about myself and everyone else around me, that pain went away. And so it's a voyage of discovery, this stuff, right? It's so important, and it's so personal to every person. If there's someone out there who's hurting and suffering right now, they might not be ready to hear me say, you're playing a role in this, and you've got to look at it more deeply and look at your emotions and look at your thoughts and understand this more. They might not be ready for that.
Yeah.
But there's lots of people that are ready for that. And there's lots of people that will listen and go, okay, I'm going to investigate this to move further forward. Because I promise you, I have no pain in my life right now. Yeah, I have no pain in my life right now. I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, with multiple businesses and a beautiful wife, and everything's great. No longer stressed. So my body's at ease. And so therefore there's no more dis-ease. And it's really important that this message goes further, because it's definitely gone out there to hundreds of millions of people via The Secret, via Bob Proctor, via Marcy Shimoff, who both, by the way, have actually endorsed Life Remixed, which in itself blows my mind. Is incredible. But these messages have gone out there to the world, and they need to extend further. They can extend further, because the more people that can be helped and understand that they play a role, and this is a beautiful quote, responsibility is the key to freedom. I had to take full responsibility for my failures, for my disease, for my bankruptcy, for everything. I took full responsibility. I understood the role that I played in it, and that allowed me to forgive myself and others, to accept what was going on, and then to start to feel grateful for everything that I still did have. And that was a real powerful kind of, it was almost like I don't know, just a complete change of direction, like changing the rudder and just going, going back the right way rather than heading down the wrong way,
Yeah, I've definitely love that idea, because, there's so many people that, so the world, especially with the whole crises of 2020, there's so much pain and suffering right now. And one thing I remember hearing is that, we're 100% responsible for our own happiness, but we're also 100% responsible for our own suffering. And it's like suffering is optional. And it's just a matter of, like what you were talking about with the pain of investigating it. Yeah, not everyone's ready for that, but that's the pathway to freedom, because like avoiding it doesn't remove that pain, and deal with it by numbing yourself with booze or drugs or food, but it's not going to free yourself until you do that explorative work. And it sounds like you've done a lot of that over the years. And I'd be curious, like what some I mean, you've mentioned a lot of resources, which I think is going to be helpful for our audience, but do you have any other tips or ideas on, when the pain feels like too much for an individual, or they're not like, maybe they want to explore, but they don't know where to begin? Like, what does that look like? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, what I would say is that no matter how you're feeling, no matter what pain you're in, there is a human being who has felt it previously and has written a book about it. I 99.9% guarantee you that if you've got anxiety issues, someone else has had it and written a book about it, right? I guarantee you that if someone's, recovered from cancer, then they've written a book about it, and so read, learn, study. I mean, I heard it's a little bit harsh, but it certainly got me. Sometimes I like the direct approach. Someone said to me once that people that don't read have no advantage over people who can't read. And it's a bit harsh, but it's quite true, isn't it? Because if I sailed through life for 20 years thinking I knew everything. Look at me, big ego, DJ, big, aren't I special? And then it took a bang, right, lay on the floor, mate, and start figuring some stuff out. It was really like, it was beautiful looking back at it. It was poetic. It was the right thing to happen to me. Otherwise, I probably just would have gone full throttle and then, who knows, cancer, heart attack or anything like that, So, my rheumatic disease was nature's handbrake to say, stop, have a look at what you're doing and see what's going on. Now, books, learning, if you want to, just seek out the best people who are already living the way you would like to live, and then copy them because they've written books about it. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and then my mentor, Kevin Green, The Rituals here in the UK. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you want to understand wealth, true wealth and money, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. If you want to understand that you can heal, and healing comes from the inside out. The Secret. I mean, if you go to markwilkinsonofficial.com, all my recommended reading is there. And every single person, I'm so grateful to them for actually making it happen and writing it in a book, and actually then allowing me and the rest of the world to actually read this stuff and go, there is another way. I'm not saying it's better or worse or up or down or left or right, because that's only our thinking makes it so. But there is another way that perhaps doesn't make the adverts on the television, that perhaps doesn't make mainstream media. But ultimately, if you investigate these other parts of yourself, you can turn yourself into a happy, healthy, wealthy, successful person of value, by the way, who can actually add good energy to the world.
Yeah, that's an important lesson, I think, is what I was hearing from that was that, instead of looking within yourself, trying to figure out all the answers within yourself, utilize resources. There's a million resources that you can find. There's someone that's been through that situation. Go find that book on them, or talk to someone who's been there or who's achieved the success that you want to achieve, rather than just thinking like, oh, I don't know what to do, so I'll just do nothing.
What they will show you, what all these great teachers are basically singing from the same hymn sheet. But what they will tell you, or what they will show you rather, is that all the answers are actually within you.
Yeah.
But you have to then read to learn it, to get it. I mean, you know, I came to a point. I mean, all the books, they said learn to love yourself, and you know, and if you love yourself, then you'll love the world. And I was like, yeah, this is all very well, but you know, and I find human beings, we find it much easier to understand something if we can articulate it. And I do this a lot in coaching, and you know, I get into quite deep with people, and I'm like, okay, so what is love then? You know, everyone says love yourself, and then you'll love everyone else, but no, you know, no one's defining it and saying, well, what is love then? And so I've come up with a definition of my own, which it might have come from Buddhism or something. I'm not even sure. I picked it up from somewhere, but I've just got this thing about love, that it is total acceptance. And when you can live, like literally, I can just totally accept this person here, you know, this face, this body, this mind, this, you know, that I never did for many years. In fact, I did self-medicate with alcohol and drugs and everything else, and, you know, sex, drugs and house music. But the point was that I thought I was having a good time, and there was some good times, but ultimately, you know, it was part of the recipe of my downfall. But when I got into total acceptance of me, then I could totally accept you guys, and then I could totally accept everybody. You know, it's not perfect, you know, but I can still totally accept it for myself. And that is a really peaceful place to live.
Yeah, I really like that, because I feel like it gives a more tangible, like you were saying, you know, you hear love yourself, and it's like, okay, I do, I think, maybe, what does that mean? You know, so I feel like total acceptance is a concept that is just a lot more tangible and easy to grasp onto, and something that for most people is probably easier to work on, in the sense that you can easily gauge, you know, okay, here's this aspect of my life. Do I accept it? Here's this aspect of myself, of my thoughts, et cetera, and then base it against, do I accept it, instead of, do I love it? Because then I feel like a lot of people will try to really qualify love as like, well, love is this higher special thing. I don't know if I love my height. So I really like that slight reframe, because I think it's a lot more approachable and useful.
I thank you for saying that. And, you know, I found that, yeah, if there was things that, you know, listen, the whole thing about life remix, right? A remix is, you know, as a record producer, people would send me all the parts to the track, and I would keep the parts that I liked, and I would discard the parts I didn't like, and then I would make the Mark Wilkinson remix by adding a few other bits into it, right? That's how I made a top 10 hit out of Lou Reed and David Bowie's Satellite of Love here in the UK. The point is that I've done the same thing with Mark. I've gone, right, here's the bits that are good and the bits that, you know, are worth keeping. There's a few bits there that, you know, the negative thoughts and feelings, and a few bits there that just need to see you later. They need to go. And then guess what? I'm going to replace them with something else. And so if I couldn't accept something about myself, then I could make the decision to say, well, I don't accept that. And if I can control myself in a better way, with better thoughts, better feelings, better actions, then I'll find my life much more accepting, and find myself to be a much more totally accepting kind of guy. And like I said, if you can articulate something, human beings, we can either articulate it or visualize it. And if you can do one of those two things, you can create really, really, you know, a great life.
So going on with that, I had a question come to my mind. And let's say that hypothetically, I'm looking to remix my life, right? I'm looking at some of the pieces, and I see the pieces that I do want and the ones that I don't. And I pull out these pieces I don't want. And then I've got this space. I've got a question around, like, what do you think is the best way to approach kind of that piece if you find that you're removing these negative parts, but you find a lot of just space for other things?
It's a great question. Nature abhors a vacuum. So if you make a space for something, something else will replace it quite naturally. There's a few things. I was on an interview this morning with a guy, who was basically telling me that, not telling me, we were enjoying a really lively conversation. And he was going, well, the secret, it's all like, it doesn't really make any sense, because some woman came up to him at a seminar and said, I'm going to get this Ferrari. I'm just thinking about it and it's going to come to me. And he was like, well, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? You got to do more, and I said, there's two things about the secret that, they kind of left out, which is, number one is that, force negates. So if you're trying to force something all the time, it makes it negative. You think about anything that someone else has tried to force you to do,
you don't.
It makes it very, very negative. And the other part to it is you have to take massive action. So you can ask, believe, receive, but you've got to take some big action in there as well. So you take some big action, you do something great, you might write a book, right? But you take some big action and then you don't force it. I've got no idea what's going to happen with this book, none whatsoever. I do know that Bob Proctor's mailing my short story out to 1 million people in about 10 days' time.
So exciting.
But thank you. But I've got no idea what's going to happen. It's okay. I've just gone here. Yeah. I totally accept what I hope you like it. I hope it's good. I hope it resonates. I hope people enjoy it. I expect it will help a lot of people, but I'm not forcing anything.
Yeah, I think that's a really helpful extra piece. And the secret, I kind of have the same. I try not to badger the guests, but the secret is kind of one of these resources to me that I have like two types of feelings about, right? Where I'm like, there's some really useful stuff in there. Also, you really need to make sure that people know that they have to take action. Because I've run into the same type of people who see the secret, don't take any action, and then are confused because they're like, well, I don't know. I was trying to manifest.
It's not working for me. It's not working for me.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
So I'm really glad you added that bit in. And the thing that's really gratifying to me is that everyone that we have talked to, or that I've talked to in general, that has accomplished a lot of things using the secret as a baseline, also touts the benefits of hard work. So it's really nice to see, the full picture. Where
I think the secret was really good entry-level stuff. It was really good entry-level stuff in 2006 to understand a bit more. We all know about the law of gravity. It says if I drop this pen, it's going to hit the desk, right? Okay, we all know about that. But none of us know from school about any other universal laws, like none, right? And so we go out into the world. We're trained to, get up in the morning, remember as much as we possibly can, take a few exams, go to school, and then go get a job. And then just, job, by the way, stands for just over broke, which is one of what one of my mentors says. Kevin Green's a great one. But the point is we're trained this way. And for me, it took these huge crises in my life that made me think about maybe just finishing and just saying, I'm going to get out of it. It took these huge crises in my life to actually dig deep and try and understand what's going on. And I think so many people might just go, blissfully through life thinking, oh, it's just up, down, it's fate, it happens to me. This kind of stuff is it's a little bit of a cop-out because, you are the creator. You are the creator. You create, whether you understand it or not, you're creating every minute of the day. Every thought is a thing and you create stuff. So wouldn't it be great if we made the decision, had a choice? Wouldn't it be great if we decided that we would only create really, really good things in the world? Imagine if everyone did that.
Yeah. What an incredible world we would live in.
Great, wouldn't it? Come on, everyone.
Yes, let's do it. I actually haven't seen this movie, but you're the second guest to reference The Secret. So now I feel like I have to.
It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Okay, now I'm going to add that to my watch list. But yes. But yeah, I agree with the sentiment. It's like nothing happens without action. But I think maybe what the movie that I never seen, but maybe are trying to get at is like the belief do create the actions. It's like, if I believe I'm a successful millionaire, if I just think the belief, it's not going to happen without any actions. But if I think I'm like, oh, I'm always going to be poor, I'm always going to be a failure, then it's not going to propel me to do the actions required to become a millionaire. But if I believe it's going to happen, I just have to keep taking the actions and keep failing and trying and doing whatever it takes, but not being attached to the outcome, but keep trying.
outcome is the outcome. I was coaching a client the other day, and he said, right, I'm going to make all these plans, and then I'm going to do some stuff, and then I'm going to believe it. And I said,
I'll believe it.
I said, hold on. I think you might have got that the wrong way around. But many people fall into this trap. My mum, bless her, my lovely mum, seeing is believing. That was her thing. I'll believe it when I see it,
right.
And I grew up with that. I was like, well, if it turns up in my life, then I might believe that. I might believe it's possible. And it's completely the wrong way around, bless her. You have to believe first. If you believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in me as a coach or an author unless I believe in me. Okay. And so, like total acceptance, total belief, if you want to call it that, but, just complete belief, confidence, not ego, aren't I brilliant? Just really confident, calm. You asked me for tips, little tips for people. Calm down, speed up. It's a beauty. It's an absolute beauty. Calm yourself down, be in total acceptance, believe in yourself, feel good about yourself, and watch your life skyrocket.
Yeah.
Just to add on to that bit, the way that I kind of like to think about confidence and things like that, because for a long time I was thinking, how am I supposed to go into all these different situations and feel confident? Because I haven't done a lot of this stuff, or I don't know what's going to happen, or whatever else. So the way that I've liked to frame it, and I don't know if this will be of use, but basically I look at it as the confidence in myself that I will be able to navigate whatever situations come up, whether or not the outcome's going to be perfect, whether or not I'm going to be the best, whatever else. But I feel, very confident that going into pretty much any situation, I'll be able to figure it out. That's the piece that has worked for me. And I just wanted to highlight that, because if it helps anyone else flip a switch, great.
It's really good. I mean, I would say that nothing of note was ever achieved inside a comfort zone. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so it's difficult to be confident and uncomfortable at the same time. And yet, I think one of the things I learned, most millionaires, millionaires and multimillionaires have been bankrupt in their 30s. So I can tick that box. But the thing with it is what actually happens is it takes away the fear. One of the things I say about money and career change is one, change your relationship with money in the first place, because understand you're in charge and the money's the tool. And the other thing is lose the fear of losing it all. Because I faced that and it was all right. So, if you lose that fear of losing it all, then all of a sudden you can be free.
Yeah. And
when you can be free, then you're no longer worrying, you're no longer in doubt, fear, anxiety, and in all kinds of negativity. And I'm not suggesting that everyone should go and try it, because that's not what we're trying to do here. But at the same time, it was a very freeing experience for me. And guess what? You don't have to do that. Just follow the strategies that I've put out, and you'll never find yourself in that situation.
Yeah, like anything worth having in life is going to require discomfort and risking something for yourself. You don't have to risk going bankrupt. Yeah, there's risk inherently in any type of success or growth.
There's also a risk of doing nothing, isn't there? If you do nothing, it's also a risk, isn't it? Sitting around doing nothing, you're still making a choice, and it might end up you're sitting on your rocking chair going, oh, I wish I'd done that a bit different.
I know. Like, that's how I felt about the stocks when everything was tanking because of the pandemic. I was like, my stock had gone super down to like 30, and now it's almost 300. And I'm like, God damn it, I should have bought more at that time.
That's the thing. In the crisis, there's always crisis in, Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, every 7 to 10 years, there is a guaranteed crisis in humanity. We had one with the credit crunch. We're having one now. There'll be another one in 7 to 10 years time, guaranteed, of some kind. And our job is to insure ourselves against it. And that's where multiple sources of income comes in, because if one goes down, you only lose money if you sell, right? So if you hold on to it, then it should come back up.
Sell it, though. Yeah, but I just wish I bought more. But I didn't. But that's okay. Yeah,
it's all a learning. It's all learning.
All learning.
Learning.
Absolutely, great. Well, Mark, we really appreciate having you on our show. Is there anything you would like? Well, obviously we're plugging your book today, Life Remix. It sounds awesome. I love the title, Life Remix. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we wrap up?
I'd just like to say thank you for having me on here, because it's been really great chatting with you both, and I love your energy. I love the title and I love what you're doing. So please, just keep going. Keep on keeping on. As far as my own perspective goes, I've got a YouTube channel. I've got markwilkinsonofficial.com website. I'd love people to connect with me across social media if they're finding something of value. Life Remix, the book, is available on Amazon, where, with fingers crossed, it will do something special, and it will help a lot of people. Ultimately, that's the goal.
Of course. Excellent. Yes, everyone go to Amazon, find Life Remix. It sounds amazing. And yes, thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Mark, for joining us today.
Thank you both.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, and then go and subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you get notified when the next video comes out. If you check out in the description below, go to my website where you can get my free fast and easy guide to stress relief. Thanks again for checking us out, and we'll see you next time.